That song always, every time I hear that song, I'm fine, y'all, I promise. We have the best choir. We have the best guest director. Bailey Whiteman is back with us today. So good to have you. Teresa, thank you, such a beautiful job. And really, I'm okay, I promise. Whew. Good morning. Some of us are hurting. Some of us are happy. Some of us are healing. But hurting, happy, healing, we're all here, right? Even on Zoom, even watching, not even on Zoom, butts in seats, people who are watching on the replay, we're all here, and we're all feeling this. We're all family, and personally, I love each and every one of you. My name is Overwhelmed. I'm Brian Hopkins, and I have the extreme pleasure of being today's tour guide, today's worship associate. My pronouns are he, his, and him, and I'll say it again, each and every one of you are here, and I'm very happy. From a diversity of cultures, sexualities, genders, spiritualities, and beliefs, we come together into one congregation. No wonder it's blurry. Here, we are always growing, we are always learning, we are always loved. Whether you're young, you're old, you're in between, whether you're in shorts, whether you're in a dress suit, whether you're wearing Hawaiian shirts and flip-flops, we are glad that you are here. And we welcome you in the fullness of who you are. If you are visiting us for the first or second time, if you would like to learn more about our church, Emily Harris is playing the role of Mary Beth Lerner today, who is out of town, couldn't make it at the last minute. We welcome Emily. She will answer any questions for you. After church, we welcome you to join us downstairs, right through the double doors downstairs and past the elevator. We're going to have coffee, going to have hot tea, some cookies. Feel free to hang out with us and chit-chat. Everybody is welcome to join us. A reminder that there is a cart with soul work supplies for anyone who focuses better while doing something with their hands or just wants to do a spiritual practice during the service. The cart with supplies is just through the double doors here beyond the elevator before the plastic name tags. I don't see any children. Our nursery is open today for ages 6 months to 5 years. And our children's and youth workshop breakout group today will be heading out to have some fun in the garden. We're planting pollinator plants. I don't know if you all have noticed a difference when you walked up the sidewalk. It is stellar. And I thank all of you all who have volunteered to work on that. It's so beautiful. Now we have a gnome in the back. Yes, we actually have a gnome. I don't know where the gnome is. I can't ask the gnome to raise its hand because gnomes don't have arms, right? Or do they? Okay, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. It's in the back, Brian, move on. Anyhow, the gnome wants to hear the service. So if you bring a child, if you brought your children today, we invite you to sit with them during the service. And at the time when the kids leave, they can get caught up with their friends. This morning, I am very, very glad to welcome back to our church this lady right here, Reverend Morgan McLean. Morgan is Morgan serves as the International Engagement Program Manager of the UUA's International Office, and she previously served as a minister in congregations in California and Pennsylvania. Morgan is a lifelong UU who lives in Arlington with her energetic preschooler, Myrtle. Got it, thank you. And her husband, Daniel, who is a professor of political science at Northern Virginia Community College. Which campus? Alexandria. Beautiful campus. They're all beautiful campuses. This morning's service will explore and celebrate our connections and differences with our siblings in faith in Transylvania, India, and the Philippines. Reverend Morgan will also reflect on her work of unlearning our American expectations and learning anew to center emerging voices. Now it's time to greet one another. You all on Zoom, please start turning your cameras on because we want to see your face. For now, please look to your right. Give a hearty, full wave to that camera up there. Say hello. Good morning, everyone on Zoom. All right, you Zoomers, here's your chance. We want to see your pearly whites. Wow, look at that. Wow. Oh, my goodness, there's got to be 20, 30 people up there. Awesome. Good morning, everyone. So good to see you. So good to see you. All right, you guys on Zoom, feel free to chat with one another in the Zoom. You all here in person, feel free to wave, say hi, get up, roam around, say hi to somebody. When you hear some music, we're going to talk about the upcoming hymn. Let's say hi.
in spirit and sing along. We're actually going to be watching a video from the Philippines, a congregation singing there, and then you'll see photos of other congregational life. There are about 27 Unitarian Universalist congregations in the Philippines, so we'll get to see a little bit from them. And you can sing along. The words are both on the captions and in the hymnal number 182. With these words from Canadian UU minister Reverend Diane Rollert. Come, hearts that are open and hearts that are closed by trials and sorrows, loss and misgivings. Come, seekers searching for answers, for respite, or a space to unleash your joy. Here all are welcome. No excuses are needed, nor explanations. Bring your whole heart and let it be touched as we come together to light our chalice, to be in worship. My name is Reverend Morgan McLean. Brian introduced me. Brian's going to come and light our chalice, and you will all join in saying the words on the monitors.
May this light warm our hearts
with love and caring, and guide us in the ways of truth.
As we gather here for worship,
we pledge ourselves to the endless search for truth, to the right of each to believe as mind, heart, and conscience dictate.
To accept the responsibilities that freedom demands,
and to implement our belief in the essential worth and dignity of every human being. And we'll sing our chalice lighting song. Our choir is singing in 5 languages today. Thank you, choir. And but we'll be singing the song from Michael, our chalice lighting song.
Hold it in your heart.
I have a pop quiz. Why is the year 1517 significant to our religious history? Transylvania. I heard Transylvania, not quite. Okay. Who grew up Lutheran? Oh, Martin Luther. Okay. Okay. Why is the year 1517 significant? So this guy, Martin Luther, Catholic priest, had some concerns about the Catholic Church. And actually had 99 of them, and wrote them all on a piece of paper, and then walked up to the church door in Germany, in what city? Würzburg, and nailed them to the door. Okay, 99, his 99 theses about things the Catholic Church could maybe do better. He really just wanted to reform the church. He wasn't trying to start a different religious movement. And in that moment, the Reformation was born, reforming. The Reformation really happened, was encouraged to happen because of a major invention. So that's the second part of the pop quiz. What major invention helped the spread of ideas in the Reformation? The printing press. Look at that. Yeah, we got there. I also feel like I'm getting a little feedback, so I'm trying to step away from the mic. Sorry, is that okay? All right, so the printing press. So people are reading the Bible for the first time in their own languages. And they're starting to understand the complexity, the nuances, the sometimes ambiguous lessons there. All right, so I wonder, I need some help maybe to hold my timeline because I actually have other dates, but this is the end of the pop quiz. So could I have some helpers? You can recruit. Okay, you'll be Martin Luther. Come on up, we'll get you going. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. So, you can go form our living timeline, please. So Martin Luther's in Germany. He's concerned about things, especially about indulgences, the idea that you could buy your way into heaven or buy grandma's way into heaven. And there were other people, like, the name John Calvin. He believed that everyone was predestined to heaven or hell. And John Calvin established his own community in Switzerland, in Geneva. Meanwhile, in 1531, a physician named Michael Servetus wrote a book called On the Errors of the Trinity, for which he was persecuted by, among others, John Calvin. And in fact, in 1553, he was burned at the stake by John Calvin with a copy of his latest book, The Restoration of Christianity, which he, like Martin Luther, pounded on the door. He had sent it to Calvin, knowing Calvin would be upset. It was strapped to his leg. And in that book, he denounced the divinity of Jesus and infant baptism. And he inspired many followers. My mouth's not working. So, one of those followers, I need another person. Bailey, thank you. There's 2 people on this card. You're next. One of his followers was Giorgio Biandrata, an Italian physician who had moved to Geneva in 1556, and he became a chief advocate for Michael Servetus' ideas. He refused to sign Calvin's Orthodox confession, and he would eventually flee to Poland, and he became the physician to a young Princess Isabella. He went with her to Transylvania in eastern Hungary at the time, where she married the king and became the queen. Their son, John Sigismund, became king at only a few weeks old, His mother raised him as an anti-Trinitarian. And once an adult, King John became the first and only Unitarian king in history. Under his rule, we meet the most famous Unitarian in Transylvania, Francis David. Francis David had befriended Biandrada, and the two debated Unitarianism at several conferences. And one of those was in 1568. He represented Unitarianism at a conference in the town of Torda. After this, King John would issue the Edict of Torda, guaranteeing religious freedom, the freedom to practice your religion without persecution, to Catholics, Lutherans, Calvinists, and Unitarians. It was, at the time, the most far-reaching religious toleration law in Europe, and maybe into history to date, proclaiming that faith was a gift from God and that no one should suffer at the hands of others for religious reasons. It is important to note, even though this was far-reaching, it was not extended to Orthodox Christians, to Jewish people, or Muslims. And we know, and are not surprised by this, because we know that this is still a struggle today. When King John Sigismund died at age 30 in a horse accident, the new rulers did not share his beliefs in religious tolerance. Francis David was sentenced to life in prison for his beliefs, and he became a martyr to the Unitarian cause. And now there is a memorial to him in his prison cell in Deva, Transylvania. Let me say a little bit more about Transylvania. It is the mountainous region between what is today Hungary and Romania. That land was for at least 1,000 years Hungarian. And then at the end of World War I, it was given to Romania. So ethnic Hungarians, many Unitarians, now found themselves foreigners in their own land. Then, after World War II, when the Soviet army occupied Romania, Transylvania was forced to adopt Soviet communism. And so the Unitarian Church then lost their lands to communal rule. Until 1991, the Unitarian Church lands and schools and resources were taken by the government, and many Unitarian churches in Transylvania today are still negotiating with the government to get all of their property back. Through all of this, they've kept their Hungarian culture and language alive. There are about 150 Unitarian congregations in Transylvania, comprising about 50,000 people, very much a church in a village, and people coming together centrally around that church. The Hungarian Unitarian Church today has a bishop and a catechism. That is a set of defined beliefs with over 100 points that the young people are expected to learn. In one of those points, they explain, how do we understand God? And they answer, we perceive God as soul and love. God is spirit, and they that worship God must worship in spirit and in truth. The Unitarians in Transylvania have worshiped together and never given up their identity. Their strength and love for each other is an example to all of us and for the world. And they certainly inspired us. So let me return to the timeline. I'm going to need 2 more volunteers. So another of Michael Servetus' followers... Are you going to be our next volunteer? You can get ready. Another of Michael Servetus' followers was an Italian lawyer, Laelius Socinus, and he died in 1562, and he left his papers to his nephew, Faustus Socinus. Faustus further developed Servetus' ideas and became a chief advocate in Western Europe for Unitarianism. His followers eventually founded a community in Poland, which was persecuted until they found refuge for a while in Transylvania. Socinus' beliefs found support in England and America in the 18th century. And from Joseph Priestley. Do we know the name Joseph Priestley? All right. I used to say that he invented oxygen. He did not invent oxygen. He did discover oxygen. He was a scientist. He was a theologian. He was sort of a radical character. He was a leader of English Unitarians, a friend of Thomas Jefferson, and he called himself a Socinian. In 1774, he supported his friend Theophilus Lindsey at the first Unitarian service in the United Kingdom. And as Joseph Priestley became more radical, he eventually came to America and gave a series of sermons in Philadelphia, which led to the founding of the first Unitarian church there. So just a little peek at our radical roots, our radical, courageous roots full of reason and toleration and discovery. Thank you to our timeline. Thank you. Now is the time for joys and sorrows, a time that we practice vulnerability and compassion as a community. Not all joys and sorrows are things we may wish to share with a lot of people. And in this congregation, the lay ministers and the ministers are available to listen and support if you'd like to talk one-on-one. But some joys are so wonderful and some sorrows so heavy that we'd like the whole community to know. So if you wish to share something today, I invite you to form a line down the chalice aisle and come forward as we invite you to speak. And please remember to share your name and speak into the microphone. After each person shares, we'll say together, "In every joy and sorrow, we are held in love beyond belief." Would anyone like to come forward and share? Now, in a moment of quiet together, grateful for the sounds of life all around us. If you have suffered a deep loss in the last year, I invite you to stand or raise your hand during this silence so that the congregation can bear witness to your grief. I invite you to deepen into this prayerful space, to notice your life-giving breath, to settle for a moment into the spirit of sharing and caring that we create together. In this sacred silence, we look inward and we name those places of fear, those places of tenderness, those places of unhappiness within that need our love. We are precious, imperfect humans, and our precious, imperfect selves can be held here. We know that we exist in a balance of joy and sorrow, of fear and knowing, of grief and celebration. And so as much as we hold and tend those challenging places, we take a moment of gratitude to acknowledge the places where we are beautifully human, the places of love and joy, of support and success. We hold it all. And we know that we do not exist alone, and so we see that balance in others struggling today with addiction, with difficult diagnosis, with uncertain futures, moments of transition. Those people need our love. They need our support, that they might know too the joy, the gratitude, the success, the comfort. And as we hold those people in our lives, we imagine our hands stretching out beyond them, around this community, outside these doors, around the world. All the people struggling, hungry, scared. They need our love. They need our action. And they need our hope, our belief, joining them in gratitude and joy. Together creating a world community filled with peace and love and possibility. Let us sit in just one more moment of silence to notice, to name what is true inside each of us. For all that is our lives, we give our thanks and praise. We now have the opportunity to celebrate the children among us as we sing and bless any children and youth who wish to head out to help in the garden, and we'll sing our song to them. our timeline, we heard about Unitarians in Transylvania and in the United Kingdom, and of course here in the United States. But if you were to look at a map of the world, you would see pins of Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist communities in Brazil and South Africa and Burundi and Germany and India and the Philippines and Australia and many places in between. Each pin in that map represents its own history, its own social context for the faith. Of course, the social and cultural realities of UUs around the world are vastly different. Still, we really are a global faith. We don't have a pope or a bishop. We don't all believe exactly the same thing, but we are related. We are connected. I want to share just a little bit about two of those pins on the map. I'm going to talk today a little bit more about the UU Church of the Philippines and the Unitarian Union of Northeast India. And then I'll encourage you to keep learning more after this morning. There's a part of India northeast of the main country that you can picture on a map. And it's there in the state of Meghalaya where you will find the Unitarian Union of Northeast India. One of the main indigenous groups there, the Khasi people, had their own non-Hindu religion featuring belief in a creator God. And then when that area of Northeast India was colonized by the Welsh Methodist missionaries in the 19th century, those Welsh missionaries created the first Khasi text of the Bible. And that was a significant moment because that allowed, just like our timeline, people reading the Bible in their own languages and beginning to ask questions. In 1865, Hisham Kishore Singh was born in the Khasi Hills, and at 15, when he was converted to the Methodist tradition of those Welsh missionaries, he read the Bible in his native language. And he began to form those same questions about the nature of Jesus and God, and he didn't know at the time that other people had done so in Transylvania and England and Boston and many other places. Eventually, he got connected with someone who introduced the writings of American Unitarian minister William Ellery Channing, and it gave Hisham Kishore Singh the word Unitarian for the faith that he had articulated. On September 18, 1887, Hisham Kishore Singh led the first Unitarian church service in his home in the town of Jawai. One woman and two men joined him at this service to become the first members of the new church. In the Khasi Unitarian hymn book, it describes the idea of God based on Hisham Kishore Singh's teachings. The idea of God as the living God is the only God. He is our real father, mother. He is filled with love and compassion and forgives those who repent. And another part is one God, one church, one people, one mission. Love God, love friends, live a blessed life. Today, there are 35 Unitarian congregations in Northeast India, and many of them have their own school. And every year, Anniversary Day is celebrated with a month of special meals and community building that ends on September 18th to commemorate that first service in 1887. On September 18th, you will see parades in the streets with music and cheering and even a giant neon chalice, if you can imagine. In that month leading up to Anniversary Day, the congregations visit every single person in the congregation. So they sometimes have 2 or 3 parties in a night. And they go and they have refreshments, they sing a song, offer a blessing to each other, and really celebrate that community. So you will find the image of the flaming chalice throughout the Unitarian congregations in Northeast India. The chalice is also used as a symbol in the UU Church of the Philippines. In the Philippines, it was Universalism that emerged organically on the island of Negros, led by a man named Toribio Quimada. As a young man in the 1930s, he read the Bible for the first time, finding a new understanding of his faith. He founded a Protestant church, which he called Iglesia Universal de Cristo, and began researching and looking for sources for religious education. He was particularly interested in helping the children learn about faith and stay in the faith. So he sent out inquiries to many sources, of course, by mail at the time. And one of these responses actually came wrapped in an old newspaper, which happened to list American Protestant denominations. And on this old newspaper, he saw the Universalist Church, and he matched that to his name, Universal. Eventually, he sent away for more information. He received a response from the Universalist Service Committee in 1952, and he would receive money, resources, and support from the Universalist Church in America and help develop his own Universalist movement. In 1954, Quimada was excommunicated from his church, and he sought help for the 9 congregations that he served from the Universalist Church of America, and they helped him establish the Universalist Church of the Philippines and made that connection even stronger and helped him spread his faith. In 1958, there were 21 Universalist congregations in Negros Island, and today there are 27, and they are Unitarian Universalists. They have adopted Unitarian Universalist thinking along with the Americans. In 1988, Reverend Quimada planned to attend the UUA General Assembly here, but he was assassinated just 1 month before for his ministry to poor farmers. With the leadership of the UUA, the bylaws of the association were changed just for this situation at the General Assembly to open membership to the UUA to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Philippines. So just like this congregation is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, indeed the UU Church of the Philippines is also a member congregation. They are unique in that map of that relationship. Today, the UU Church of the Philippines shares our 7 principles, and they have added an 8th, but they made it first, and it is, there is a God, and God is love. The words from that opening hymn were written by Reverend Quimada. I find this all very interesting, but that is because it's my full-time job. And so, as Brian said, I'm the International Engagement Program Manager at the UUA's International Office, and I have this great pleasure of working with Unitarian Universalists around the globe and finding new ways of being together. When I tell people what my job is, I often have to qualify with something like, but we don't do mission work. Because we, American Unitarian Universalists, have never been big into converting or forcing our religious beliefs on others. And we do not have a perfect record globally, and certainly those relationships and the ways that we've shared resources and money and expectations is complicated, but that is another sermon. What we do have is a yearning for deep connection, for opportunities for deepening our own faith by being in relationship with one another. American UUs have enjoyed relationships with UUs around the globe for over 100 years. What I find myself now is doing is unlearning and learning anew how to be in relationship. That phrase comes from Transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau. He wrote in his journal in 1837, when any real progress is made, we unlearn and learn anew what we thought we knew before. We unlearn and learn anew what we thought we knew before. Since March of 2020, the whole world has been learning anew, and if you were here last week, my sermon was a little bit about that. We learned how truly interconnected humanity is around the globe, how vulnerable we are, and how much we need to care for each other. And when we've been in this learning mode with a willingness to do things differently than before, the possibilities begin to emerge organically of the kind of world we might build together. At this moment in history, it's been critically important for me and other Americans involved in global UUism to take a step back and to consider the Western colonial tendencies that we might have had that did not quite foster equal relationships. There are systems of relationships, of charity, education that have perpetuated inequality and inequity. I am certainly unlearning my American charity mindset. We as a culture often had a sense of charity that we are the helper, the savior, we know best. And with our money, we can help others find the light. And gosh, do we love a building project. And we are generous. We are generous, and we have made a difference in people's lives. But instead, how might we listen to what is needed? Listen without making suggestions, and this is hard for me. To listen to what's going on for other people, and to think about what we can do to really help them in their need. And then match our generosity with that need. What would it be like to give generously without expecting a thank you card? Or a tote bag, or a ledger sheet to know exactly how the funds were used? What if we gave with faith and trust and joy? I am unlearning my American sense and love of the ledger sheet, of the commitment we have to work and outcomes and measurable goals. American organizations are hyper-focused on mission and vision and strategic plans. Who has been part of a strategic planning process? Oh my goodness, right? So our way of being is to assume that if we lock ourselves in a church for a weekend, we will come up with all the answers for the next 5 years. And we will have due dates, right? And our work will be outlined, maybe for 10 years if we're lucky. But in that, how can we possibly make room for change? How can we center relationships over outcomes? How can we make room in a 5-year plan for new ideas, emerging connections, inspiration? Learn and unlearn and learn anew. So it's not just our behaviors, our tendencies, but I am also finding my language is full of my history and social contexts. In my international UU work, I am learning to decolonize my vocabulary and my own mind. I'm always finding myself defaulting to militaristic or capitalistic concepts. Are we on the front line of justice? No, we are holding hands to transform the world. Do we use bullet points? Or can we just have some talking points or some opportunities for connection. So for the past year, the Unitarian Universalist Association has been helping to facilitate a process of reimagining the future of our global faith and the ways that we come together in various communities. And I have the great joy of facilitating this group called the Leadership and Design Team. And it was intentionally formed with those who, it was formed by those who held the power before. And full disclosure, I was part of that group of power. I was part of something called the Unitarian Universalist Partner Church Council. And we started looking at the ways that we do our work and wondering how we might do things differently, and then looking at each other and saying, but we don't know, because we'll just keep creating organizations in our own image. So how might we really intentionally transfer the power and provide an opportunity for a new way to emerge? So we prepared fertile soil, and that included giving the power, the financial resources, the accountability, the conversations, the leadership to other people, and made space for what's next. And like those strategic planning processes, we know if we lock ourselves in a room for a weekend, we can create a product. But if we want to create organizations in new ways, then we need more time and more space. And so this group is taking that time and space, and the UUA facilitates that, not as a leader, but really as a convener, someone, because we have the resources to set up the Zoom room and to send reminders about the agenda. But we're not the leader or the decider, and I get to practice unlearning my bossy American ways every day. This group of 9 people has a range of experience, some in high positions of leadership, some never having a leadership role before. Half of them are under 40. And all of them are committed to their faith communities around the world. They're creative thinkers, and they all are learning anew together. And this is the future of our global faith and our congregations everywhere. We are connected in new ways on Zoom and WhatsApp, and generations of UUs who knew that international connections were life-saving and faith-deepening are still here, ready to build this next generation of collaboration. We are decentering American and Western voices and building a world truly transformed by love. You and I are all part of this. The institution starts here at every congregation. It starts in hearing our own words when we decolonize our minds and our ways of being. We all have unlearning to do and learning together anew, new ways of doing things, and not insignificant things. Changing our language, sharing our wealth in radically different ways, and finding new ways of understanding our American selves in a global context. I find this a very exciting time to be part of an international community, and I'm grateful that we have this service today to celebrate those communities around the globe, to hear what our faith sounds like in different languages, and to understand our radical roots and maybe our even more radical future. So may it be.
Speaking of other languages, the offertory in a few minutes will be sung in a different language, and I'll give you more details about that shortly. The Reverend Heather Christensen writes, Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace, justice, love, and joy. That vision is embodied in large congregations, mid-sized congregations, and many, many smaller congregations. No matter its size, every congregation depends on each of you, each of its members. Each of you, by your commitment, time, energy, resources, planting plants out in the yard, help make this grand vision real. Individually or together, we are building a world filled with peace, justice, love, and joy. Now, there are many ways that you can give to UUCSS to help make that grand vision of faith and emerging vision of our congregation real. If you are here in person, you can also put money in the offering plates as they are passed around in just a moment. Again, the offertory will be sung in a foreign language. It'll be sung in Kasi by the Unitarian Union of Northeast India. That's going to be kind of cool to hear. The offering will now be received.
Good morning. My name's Jamie Jorgensen. I'm a member of the board, and my pronouns are he and him. We gather in person and on Zoom for worship every Sunday morning here at UUCSS, but our church is not only the organization that puts together these services, we are a vibrant collective of volunteers and staff. We are part of the wider Silver Spring community. We are a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association and part of the global UU denomination. Today we have 3 announcements. Number 1, please mark your calendar for Saturday, October 28th. We're bringing back the Halloween party. Youth are invited to arrive around noon for pizza. Again, this is October 28th. Around noon for pizza and to hang out and prepare their haunted house. And all y'all are invited to take part by decorating the back of your car for trunk or treat. Face painting, I don't think we've ever had a trunk or treat, have we? I've always gone to my brother's Mormon congregation for trunk or treat, so I'm glad we're doing it here. Okay, trunk or treat, face painting, bringing treats to share, helping to clean up, whatever works for you. The party itself will be 4 to 6 p.m., and we'll start getting trunk or treat vehicles in place in our parking lot at 3. So see you there, and there should be a flyer with QR code to sign up to help in the back by the Gnome House. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, it's auction time again. Hold Saturday, December 9th from 4 to 6 p.m. for the in-person Winter Wonderland auction and an all-ages party. There will be fun activities for all ages, a silent auction, and an oral auction. The Winter Wonderland auction will actually start on December 2nd with the online auction, which will run into the evening of December 9th. Think about how you would like to participate in the auction and about donation ideas. We'll let you know, and who that we refers to you'll hear in just a second. We'll let you know when the website is ready for submitting donations, and that is signed your faithful auction team, Allison, Linda, and 2 Emilys. Number 3, today after the service, hopefully you're all aware of this, but in case you aren't, today after the service, please come outside to our new pollinator garden along Oak Lawn Drive and help us plant 1,000 native pollinator plants. No experience is necessary, and snacks will be served. All right, thank you.
All right, that's it. You all go home. No. I'm sorry. Please join me in the words of our chalice extinguishing. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
Our closing hymn is We Are a Patchwork Quilt. It is a round, and the words will be on the screen, and we're going to teach it to you. And here's how this is going to go. Grace is going to beautifully play it for us once, so we'll get a sense of it. Then we'll all sing it together in unison, so we get a little more sense of it. And then we're going to do it 3 times as a round, but y'all are going to have it easy. Here's how it's going to go. Some folks are going to be part 1. Some other folks are going to be part 2, and we're going to be part 3. And so when they get through the 3rd time, they'll just keep joining in the last line until we all finish together. And the words are quite appropriate here. It's also interesting that Michael noted for me that this was practically the last thing that was done at UUCSS in March before we had to close in 2020 and all go into this very different and strange new world from which we are still emerging and changing. So the words are, we are a patchwork quilt, many colors, many shores. We keep our own ways, but together we make so much more. Please rise in body or spirit. patchwork quilt, many colors from many shores. We keep our own ways, but together we make so much more.
We are a patchwork quilt, many colors from many shores. We
are a patchwork quilt, many colors from many shores. We keep our own ways, but together we make so much more. We are a patchwork quilt, many colors from many shores. We keep our own ways, but together we make so much more. We are a patchwork quilt, many colors from many shores. We keep our own ways, but together we make so much more.
Thank you. The words from our benediction come from Fulgence Najimana, the founder of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Burundi. He was persecuted for his beliefs in 2015 and fled the country, and he now lives and preaches in Canada. I am grateful for the faith that reminds me all the time to have faith in the human capacity of building a more just and fairer world. To have faith in our responsibility as we live in this place, to have faith in the many possibilities that God has for us, and to be open to freely embrace them. And our choir will sing in their fifth language of the day. We'll sing in Hungarian. This is a blessing that's in the teal hymnal. It's a song called Székely Áldás, and the words are from a Hungarian traditional blessing that is not usually sung, but every Hungarian in Transylvania knows this blessing, and I know they love this arrangement that was done by Beth Norton in Concord, Massachusetts.